Am și să-l folosesc. Vreau să vă mulțumesc. Eu sunt, în termeni tehnici, galeristă, ca să zic așa, dar nu am o experiență foarte vastă, de-abia am început și viața a făcut ca să o întâlnesc pe Iulia după ce am deschis galeria. Și sunt foarte bucuroasă pentru că am descoperit o persoană minunată, sensibilă, o artistă adevărată. Și normal că după ce m-a ajutat cu prima expoziție și a fost curatora ei și a făcut o treabă minunată, am printre noi două dintre artistele primei expoziții, care s-a numit Elysium, temă pe care Iulia a ales-o și care mi s-a părut foarte frumoasă, care este inspirată din mitologia greacă. A urmat o altă expoziție, The Golden Age, care are de asemenea niște ramuri în mitologia greacă și este expoziția Iuliei, care este plină de sensibilitate și profunzime, de asemenea, al fiecărei picturi. Mulți dintre voi care sunteți prieteni Iuliei știți, dar sunt și cei care nu o cunosc și sper să-și aloce timp să citească fiecare poveste a fiecărui tablou. Și mai am o persoană minunată care nu înțelege română, dar o să vorbească în engleză, pe care am descoperit-o tot recent, când am început eu acest drum în viață, pe partea artistică, ca să zicem așa. Karima este profesor de artă și istoric de artă. A studiat în America, a trăit în America și călătorește alături de soțul ei, care are viața de expat. Și pe lângă faptul că de un an și jumătate dă cursuri de artă pro bono. Acum cu galeria chiar am ținut niște cursuri de artă foarte interesante, deci dacă vă interesează să-mi spuneți și să vă anunț despre ele. Sunt minunate, sunt niște cursuri de artă care, cum a spus și Karima, te învață istorie, pentru că de fapt arta este istorie și fiecare moment din istorie are o conexiune și cu arta. Eu sper că Iulia mă face istorie și că eu o să vă ajut și o să las pe Karima să vă spună. Îmi cer scuze, o să vorbească în engleză, pentru că ea nu vorbește românește, dar ele s-au întâlnit, s-au cunoscut și vreau să fac o sinteză ce înseamnă această expoziție și Iulia ca artist. Karima, hopefully you understand.
Yes, I got the gist. Thank you all so much, and I'm not going to take too much of your time, but Juan and Iulia asked me to speak a little bit about the art tonight. And whenever I speak about art, I always want to kind of illuminate it, make it more approachable, more accessible, and more intimate to the person looking at it, so they have a connection with it. And to be honest with you, I found it very easy with this exhibit because first I looked at the images and then I spoke with Iulia, and she told me a little bit about herself and her education, how she had studied art early on, and then because she was good at math, she ended up being pushed to go into the sciences and pursue a career in architecture. Interior architecture was her passion, and then 5 years ago she began to paint more seriously. And in the beginning, she said it was kind of refreshing her mind and training herself how to get back into that spirit, and it was very academic. But then an event happened in her life which made her want to be more, I don't know, the way I interpret it was a little bit more authentic to herself and a little bit true, and she expressed herself through color. And I thought that was a fantastic description of what you see when you look at her art, because I was immediately struck by the beautiful, beautiful, rich color. And then when she began to explain her paintings to me, they became so much deeper, so much more rich, and they really spoke to me. So I just wanted to speak a little bit about the art in terms of the kind of inspiration she had, and also the schools of art that I think I see very much in her art. So for instance, we talked, I said, what inspired you? She said Fauvism. Fauvism is a style of art that began in the early 20th century, and it focused primarily on colors, and color to evoke emotion, to evoke a feeling, and particularly colors are used wildly. So a color for a face isn't a natural color, but it can be green and blue and red, and it can be shocking, but it can also pull you into the painting and make you feel something. And I felt very much that that was something that was very evident in her paintings. And also, I saw a lot of Gauguin and Matisse as well, and we talked about that as well. And she had a class where a professor asked, you know, what can you add to art history? What can you add to the genre of art? And she said that she didn't see that she could see something, she wasn't going to invent the wheel, as it were, but she wanted to show herself. She wanted to show her true self, and I felt that that really came through. So for instance, the paintings as you enter, which are particularly of the palm fronds, and she said that she laid back and she looked up into the palm trees, and the light came through them, and the leaves began to sway. And if you look at the leaves, if you look at them quickly, you get a feeling that they're green, but they're not actually green at all. They're pink, they're blue, they're green, they're yellow, they're a whole bunch of different colors. And you feel the gentle dance and the gentle swaying of the leaves when you look at it. And I think that's something that is so well done in these paintings because they do evoke not only a feeling, but a connection with the viewer looking at them. And particularly when you know a little bit more about the history. So for instance, one that I just absolutely adore, it's over there in the corner. And at first I didn't know exactly what it was. When I looked at it, I just was drawn to it. And we began to talk about the medium that she uses. She uses a lot of oil. Iulia and she said that she loved to use oil because of the texture. There's a creaminess, there's a smoothness, there's a richness. And if you go up and look at it, you really feel it. The red there is so rich and so juicy, as it were, and these are berries, and you feel it. And she explained to me that it was after the Fukushima explosion, and she thought about nuclear affected organisms emerging from the ocean, and I began to see it. And not only that, but the blue that she created kind of made me feel like we were in a different world, and I was being pulled into it. And it wasn't just with that one. Over here, I particularly love this one when she was explaining it to me in the sense of that it was a self-portrait, but it was also had elements of it that were the American Statue of Liberty, because she visited the United States, and that she'd used this green. And if I'm not mistaken, it was a Russian green, correct? And then of course, this whole idea that when she was painting it, there was the conflict in the Crimea, and there was the stress about the Russians, and yet at the same time, what's happening with American politics. And she pulled all of those elements with the medium, the green from Russia, the symbolism, which is the Statue of Liberty and the sleeping Statue of Liberty, plus the political atmosphere, and you feel pulled in by the color in particular, and that's where I was talking about the fauvism coming into play, and you begin to ponder when you look at it. And it wasn't the only one. For instance, this one, I don't think any kind of picture can do it justice, because when you look at it, it feels like you're looking at something that shimmers and is gold and is vibrant, and you feel the feathers kind of flickering and twisting. And when you look at the description as well, you'll begin to understand that, okay, yes, it's a beautiful peacock, but then she talks about the philosopher's stone and alchemy, and there's a magical moment. And there is a magical moment in art as well, when you make a connection. And when you make that connection and you feel something, when you look at a painting, that is the alchemy for me. Not only the fact that it does look like gold, and it feels vibrant, and it feels real, and it feels alive. And then some major themes that I felt when I looked at her work were things like mythology. And you have these two goddesses on the side. You have the winds over there on those paintings. You also have politics in her paintings. You have emotion in terms of beauty, and also female form. You get a sense of expression, of inner beauty and feelings that wants you to connect to the painting as well. And that, I feel, made me feel connected to the painting, and at the same time made me want to look at it further and study it further and explore it a little bit more. And I think that's what all art should do. Art isn't just something that you put on your wall. It should be something that makes you think. It should be something that makes you feel. You should feel a connection to it. And I think that absolutely. Not only do you feel connection to it, but when you speak with Iulia about art, there's such a rich story that comes out of it that you have a different level of understanding as you ponder them, as you appreciate them, and as you go around. I thought the themes for the exhibit, Exotica and the Golden Age, were very appropriately named because, as I said, the ones that have a lot of foliage, a lot of lushness of greenery, and I felt very South Pacific themes going in. I felt like we should, all be in Hawaii when we looked at it. Very beautiful, very lush, and also the Golden Age, where you get the mythological themes, the rich colors, the female form coming out and making you not only connect with the image that you're seeing, but also connecting with a deeper level of history and a kind of deeper understanding of the painting as you look at it. It made it much more vibrant. So I hope we'll all get a chance tonight to talk to Iulia. And I just wanted to ask Iulia a couple of questions, and because it helps me in a way when I talk about art, to ask, to have a little bit of feedback. And particularly in this one, can you tell me what were the first things that came to mind? Because for me, it's like a golden burst of color, and I almost feel like inspiration when I look at it. What was your first thought when you began to create this work?
I wanted to make a picture, a painting, which should be the emblem of this exhibition actually. And the name of the exhibition was the Golden Age, and I say, okay, I have to have a painting which is gold. And I started with the background, which is yellow and then gold over it. And it was all gold, and it stood like this in my painting room for some time, for some weeks, and looking at it. I have pictures of it, and it was all gold. And then it struck me that actually we appreciate gold in its material form. And for each of us, gold is has a different value. And what should be our value is actually the light, the spiritual light. It shouldn't be the material gold, it should be a spiritual light, which we should find. Some of them do, some of us don't, some of us are hoping to find it, like me, for example. And the most striking image of light was one which one of my friends sent to me in one of her trips. My friend is not yet here. Her name was Beatrice, like Dante's Beatrice, and she sent me some pictures in Italy of some white peacocks on near Garda Lakes. I have, I think, like tens of pictures of these peacocks of her, and I think that was the most impressive image of light which I found in their whites. And then after I studied some stages of the alchemic ritual, and I read some interesting books on it, and I found this very interesting moment that before you find the philosopher's stones, the true light and the true gold, the searcher of the truth, it's going through a stage which is named the peacock's tail, cauda pavonis. And this stage, it reunites all the colors of the world of the peacock tail. And after that, he receives the final stage, which is the true light. That's why I think, and I personally feel, that the white peacock is something of a unique and true beauty. And suddenly I found the theme for my painting. And I tried to do it as well as I could, because in the beginning it was all white. And I had some paintings, some pictures of it, it was all white. And then I started to paint with other colors on it. And then I added again gold over it. And in the end it has, I think, all the colors. Even red, if you look very closely, it is in red. And I think it's a good one. I never believe I have finished it. I could never finish this one. I would paint on it again and again for some time. But I say, okay, I have to stop at one point, like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and I stopped and I put it in an exhibition.
Well, I think that was a fantastic explanation, particularly because it shows the process. In art history, you talk about form and composition and line and drawing, and these are basics, right? And then once you master those, and you master them, then it's where inspiration comes in, and particularly when talking about the colors, because that is the thing that really jumps out for me about this canvas, is that it's not just technique, but it is the colors and the joy and the depth behind the painting that make it connect to an audience, and make it, like you're saying, the golden age, and make it intimate to the viewer as well. So perfect, thank you so much. If there are any questions for me, I'm happy, or for Iulia, but thank you so much for listening to me, and